without sounding big-headed, but I don't really give a shit. You should have seen the cheeks. My fucking ass was massive. My gut was huge. Oh, it was. I loved it. I don't know. It was quite sour, really. You know, I wasn't the greatest child. I always had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. I don't know. It was crazy. I was absolutely shitting myself walking to the ring, and when I got in the ring, then no nerves whatsoever. And it sounds stupid, but honestly, the feeling of me getting punched in the face, I love the feeling of waking up next day like, oh, my body is battered. And I had a lot of problems behind the scene that not many people knew about. I don't want to be walking around in the ring looking like a fucking billboard. And then the other one then is on my private parts down below.
Hey guys, Danny Batten Fight Show and Ace Podcast Nation, sponsored by the Violent Money brand. Please do check out Violent Money TV on YouTube, as well as their website for training apparel, all that good stuff. And of course, check out the Violent Money Academy, which is the first smart gym in the UK. Use the code ACE20 to get 20% off all your purchases at violentmoney.co.uk. Hey guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, and we're back for another episode of my story. Delighted to be joined by young Welsh fighter, the Rhoose Rhino Jay Munn. How are you, mate?
Yes, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, mate. Really looking forward to this.
Good, man.
Looking forward to having a chat, and we'll see where we go, mate. It's going to be good, though. It's going to be good. Obviously, you got a fight Saturday, so I'll clip this bit out so I can get it out before Saturday.
Yeah,
but you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I am. I'm doing a bit of a step up now. I'm doing a 6-rounder, my first 6-rounder. So it'll be good. It's interesting. I've only had 6 pro fights. I think a couple of my mates have been getting a bit bored of me doing 4-rounders. So hopefully I can put a bit of a show on for them for 6 rounds and see where that takes.
That's it, mate. It's just about building it up, isn't it? And I guess, and I've had a couple of boxes on and MMA fighters and stuff, particularly early in the pro career. I do a fight show with Danny Batten, who's he's like UK MMA legend, really. But he says he's quite vocal because he's a coach now. He'll say the first few, first probably 10 to 12 fights in your pro career, just be looking at building those wins.
Yeah, building the experience
skills
and that's it. So as an amateur, I only had 20 amateur fights. So the progress for me it's a longer route. I'm not going to be thrown in the deep end. I got a good team around me, so they're going to look after me and they're going to choose particular fighters, in order which will suit me and which I can show my skills.
What's the average normally for fighters? How many fights do they have at amateur level normally? Do you reckon?
Wow, it just depends on how active you are. If it was down to me, I probably would have had 5 amateur fights and then we're just going, I'll sod it out to pro. But it doesn't work like that. I would say roughly around about 50 plus. That's so
boxers are much more active than MMA fighters at amateur level.
Exactly. Back in the day, though, you were fighting every other week. That's the old school way. Unfortunately, we don't live in that anymore.
No, I don't. You've got to have a break in between those days, haven't you?
Unless you're a GB fighter, or them GB fighter boys, they're on 100 plus. So they're really active.
It's so you got this fight Saturday. Do you at this stage of your career, do you pay much attention in terms of your opponent? Do you try and find footage of him and try and familiarise yourself with it, or do you sort of?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. So I don't do any of that. I leave that down to my coach. And again, without sounding big-headed, but I don't really give a shit. Do you know what I mean? I just, as long as I've put 110% in my training and I'm fit and I've been eating clean, I haven't cut corners and I haven't cheated. As long as I turn up happy on the day, I got a good chance of coming out on top.
Yeah. So do you know much about your opponent on Saturday?
No, I didn't even know his name.
There you go.
So, and that's not being cocky or anything like that. I generally do not know his name.
Yeah.
My manager sent me it the other day, and I didn't even look.
Yeah.
I just went okay because I trust him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know he's not going to go while you're fighting a kid who's 30. I know he's had 29 knockouts. Like, do you know what I mean? I know he's not going to do that. But it's again, I'm around a good team. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't have to be worried as long as I'm focused on myself. I think
but that's what you need to, especially like you say, like you're early in your pro career. You don't want to be worrying about too much other stuff, do you?
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I
I got enough stress as it is. I got to go and drop tickets off. I got to sell myself to selling tickets and whatnot. So, and then then on top of that, then I got to do training, and then I'm dieting, so I'm getting a little bit aggy.
Yeah,
so it's all on top, and sometimes I'm just thinking, fuck off, leave me alone.
Do you see? I'm an arsehole. I am when I'm hungry. When I'm hungry, I'm twatting it, and especially because I smoke as well. If I haven't smoked and I haven't eaten, I'm horrible to be around.
Yeah.
Do you get to points when you're weight cutting and that, and you're dieting, where you need to be left alone?
Do you know what? Right, so me and my girlfriend, we were talking about it the other day, and my last training camp, I was really bad. So she'd be breathing heavily, and I just won't. That would piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, "Shut up, will you?" She's like, "I'm not doing anything. I know what you're doing. You're doing my fucking head." But I'm not the only person. All fighters get it. Like they all get that. Hangry, if you want to call it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Passes though, don't it? As well.
Yeah,
like it's not like
I'm fed up with fucking salad and prawns.
Oh, mate.
Do you know what I mean? That's why I love it. That's why I love a beer.
Yeah.
And I love a party because it's.
But you go without it for so long, don't you?
Oh, just 6 weeks. So I used to do 8 weeks, but I shortened my training camp to 6 weeks because I know I can do the full intensity in them 6 weeks and be on weight. Them 8 weeks are way too long for me. The back 2 weeks, I'm like, oh god. Do you know what I mean?
But this is why I think sometimes, like, especially with social media, the way it is, like you see people criticizing fighters' performances or whatever, like after the fights or whatever, like all the the usual negativity which you see, and I think people don't realize like the stress and the aggravation and just the general effort that's put in just to get there, let alone the actual fight, and if things don't go your way or they go your way, whatever. Like, and I think fighters don't get enough credit for that, especially fighters who are early in their career or have just turned pro, or just like the amount of MMA fighters who I know who have got who are early in their career. They've got maybe 1 or 2 sponsors who are kind of paying for their training, but they're also doing like a 9-to-5 job because they've got to pay their bills.
So that's it. If you're not financially stable in this game and MMA, it's even harder.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Chris Jenkins, he was a former British and Commonwealth champion, and the talent on him is unbelievable. But he's got to work at the same time. He really relies on the sponsors to help him get through, and it's an awful shame. And he should be up there, knocking around with the big boys. And he just won his last fight now in
he's fighting Florian Marquez.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a good.
And that'll be a very good fight for him, because if he wins that, and I think he will, that will catapult him then.
Yeah, Florian Marquez got a big following, haven't he, as well?
I love following.
We had I had Chris on the fight show on not last Sunday, the Sunday before, and he was saying he hasn't got any sponsors at the moment, so he's
awful.
And it's terrible, isn't it? Like you'd think like boxing or MMA or whatever, like they try and do more to support you. Because at the end of the day, if you haven't got any young fighters coming through, you haven't got a sport in 10 years anyway. So it's
100%.
I've never understood why there isn't more support.
I'm so lucky to have my old man and his business partner Peter Walker to support me financially, because it's I work when I can, but if I got to do training, if I was in work and I had a phone call saying, listen, you got to come to training or you got sparring now, I would have my old man and his business partner Peter would say, yeah, no problem, go. And it's like some people can't just get up and just go. They've got to go. I've got to get money, which is awful shame. And
especially coming off the back of COVID and that as well.
It's even worse. Yeah, it definitely is. Some people have been saving or through that COVID, and or some people haven't got a pot to piss in, and it's an awful shame.
You see, well, Gavin here the other week, Gav Gwyn, he was saying, like, obviously, before COVID, he was kind of working, and, like, I think people don't realise, like, you got to get up at, like, 5 o'clock, go for a run or whatever, have breakfast, sort your kids out, in his case, and then go to work all day.
Family to provide, isn't it? And then pay bills.
And then after you've done, like, a physical job all day, then you're knackered, and everyone else goes to the pub or they go home and they chill out.
6 or whatever it is. And it's mad. But, like, so through lockdown, I completely packed in the box and went, oh, sod this, I'm not doing it.
Is it?
Yeah, I wasn't, all my mates, well, I say all my mates, all my gym mates, all the other boxers, my stable mates, they were training and they were doing bits and bobs, and I was thinking to myself, like, they're all training, but, like, there's nothing to train for.
Yeah.
So I just said to my man, I'm not even going to bother, and he was like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. I said, no. So I just completely just packed in the boxing because I knew I would have drove myself insane. And
like training for, like,
nothing.
There's no end game in sight. Yeah,
there's no end goal for it. Like, I mean, you're doing the training camp, if you want to call it a training camp, and there's no end goal.
Yeah.
It's the same as Christmas just gone now. My old man wanted me to do a training camp just to keep on top of it, ready for February, March. And yeah, no worries. I just went on the biggest bender you could think of. I just completely let myself go. I think the heaviest I went was 85 kilos or 84 kilos. I fight to 71 kilos. Yeah.
Loud.
Like, went on a proper mad one, drinking. I was doing 2-day benders there, 3-day benders there. I went on a couple of holidays. I went, oh, sod it, I'm going.
That's, mate, weight cutting, the thing for me, like that, just seems brutal. Like, what do you walk around at normally?
When I'm training but eating whatever, I walk around about 77 kilos.
See, that's not
too bad,
is it? Like, it's down to 71.
84 kilos. You should have seen the cheeks. My fucking ass was massive. My gut was huge. Oh, it was. I loved it. I did it.
It's breaking it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I suppose, because you're still young, and you like,
23, man.
Jesus, I'd love to be 23 again.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to make the most of it now.
But that's the thing. But again, it goes back to, like, the sacrifices of what you got to do to be a professional athlete, and particularly a fighter, I reckon. But, like, what I was doing at 23 is very different to what you were doing at 23. Do you know what I mean? Because, like you said there, like 2-day benders here, 2-day benders, yeah. I was able to just do it all the time because I was 23. I was single and whatever.
Do you know what? So I always say, like, just because I'm a professional athlete, that don't mean I'm any different to anyone else.
Yeah.
The professional athlete is just the professional, whatever you want to call it. It's just the status of what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? And I still go on a bender with you lot. Like, do you know what I mean? It's no different to anyone else. No, I don't want anyone to think I'm any better. I'll still go and do whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just because I'm a professional athlete, I'm not going to stop what I love doing. And then I can still play football with the boys on the Saturday. Do you know what I mean? Still signed on. Still miss goals, but you know. But yeah, it's good.
So, tell you what, then, like, let's go back to the kind of right to the start, and tell us a bit, like, about, like, where you're from, upbringing, and that sort of thing, for people who are not familiar with you.
Okay, so I'm from Rhoose. My upbringing as a childhood, I had a really good childhood. My old man has always provided for me. He's given me absolutely everything. My mum was the backbone of the family. But what I will say is I've going into a bit of a deep side of it. You know, I had a very emotional upbringing as well. Me and my mum's relationship was quite sour, really. You know, I wasn't the greatest child. I always had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And me and my mum always clashed. I think she seen my old man in me too much, and it was a bit of a mad relationship, really. And as I got older, I haven't spoken to her for a year now. We don't stay in contact. We really clashed bad, and it was a very emotional roller coaster for me. I had an addiction to tramadol.
Oh yeah.
So that went a
Brutal
bit,
stuff, right,
yeah,
isn't it?
that went a bit peaked on for myself. But I didn't tell anyone. I did it all by myself. I was pinching. So my mum, she had an operation on her back. She had like 3 discs taken out. So the doctors were giving her tramadol to kill the pain, to help with the pain. And I had a bad back or whatever it was I had at the time, and I had one, and that was it. And I got hooked on it. I was taking like 6 a day. I couldn't function without them, and I got really bad on it. And it was quite mad. It was. But yeah, it took me 7 months. Well, I was a year on him, 7 months. I got myself off him. It was quite crazy. So that side of family, I got 2 brothers. They're wicked. They are. My older brother, me and him are like best mates. So apart from my mum and dad divorcing, other than that, we got a really tight family.
Yeah.
And it's nice. I've always played football as a kid. I've done martial arts. I played for Cardiff Schools in football. I did a bit of rugby. I had about over 120 fights in martial arts. I achieved my black belt. I had a silver in the worlds, a couple of British titles, and the Welsh titles and English titles as in martial arts. So I achieved
What martial arts do you do?
Taekwondo. So
Nice.
I always say martial arts because Taekwondo is not the greatest, is
No,
it?
it is. It's all right.
Don't give me that. I know you're thinking that's a load of shit.
No, it's not. I'm big into. I wish that when I was younger there had been more opportunities to do all that sort of stuff, because I would have been bang up for doing it, but it just wasn't there.
Well, I've always, as a kid, I've always been sporting mad. Any opportunity of doing any sports, you give it to me, you show me how to do it, and I'll pick it up quite quickly. Ping pong, I'm the best at.
Oh, mate, you'll have
ping
to play.
Pong, I tell you
You'll
now.
have to play, mate.
I'm a different league.
I'm incredible at
And
ping pong. Even with a
badminton as
walking
well.
stick these days, I can still play.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, get me on it. I tell you now. In the summer, so my old man bought a ping pong table, and I tell you now, me and my brother, the competitions.
Yeah.
I was willing to put on Facebook if anyone wants a competition with me in ping pong. Come to my house right now. I'll smoke you.
Oh, mate, we'll have to do that.
Definitely. Yeah, it's good.
We'll film it.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, how I got into boxing. So the boxing gym was right by the where I used to train for martial arts or taekwondo, and I was always seeing kids on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I was always seeing kids in and out, and so I got a bit of boxing background myself. So my uncle, he's got his own boxing gym in Penarth. My uncle had done a little bit, but he done what he had to do and whatnot. My old man, he done a little bit. He done what he had to do, and so it's always, I'd say, boxing's always been in my blood,
Yeah.
And I asked my mum if I could go, and I was about 13, 14. She said, no, you're not. You're gonna mess up your face and all that. I said, there's not much, I'm bloody hanging anyway, so it makes no difference anyway. It might probably do me good. And so I lied to her this on the Monday, the following week. I took extra clothes. I said, I'm doing a double session in martial arts. But I lied. I'd done the one session and then went over to the boxing gym. Got changed, and by the end of the week, they wanted me to fill in the medical so I could fight.
Yeah.
So they gave it to me, and I was like, oh shit, how am I going to tell my mum? So I went and told my old man, I said, listen, I've been training boxing this week. He said, right, don't show your mother. So I was like, yeah, all right. He goes, right, hide it. Anyway, I put it in my drawers where I try and hide things. And again,
teenagers always think that just in the drawers is safe, isn't it?
Safe. Boy, if I was wrong. She texted me on a Tuesday morning or Tuesday lunchtime when I was in school. She was like, you little shit. Oh my God, my ass was going like that. I was texting my man, she's found it. God, she was like, you're not fighting. But and then I eventually convinced her that I can go training. And then it took me about, say, 6-7 months then to convince her that I could have a fight.
Yeah. So you were doing taekwondo anyway?
Yeah.
Were you fighting at that point in taekwondo, or were you just training in it?
No, I was fighting, so
how come she didn't want you to do taekwondo? It's alright to get kicked
in
the face, but not punched in the face.
Listen,
No, I just wondered.
Yeah, you try and talk that to my mother and tell her now. I think everyone knows that, you know, Taekwondo isn't the
It's
full.
not the same, is it?
No, it's not the full shilling, like, do you know what I mean, to compared to boxing. I think boxing does a little bit more damage.
Yeah.
I mean, kick in the face is brutal, but, you know, it's not. It's hard to explain unless you've done it yourself.
Taekwondo's not the same as what like people would see in like MMA either, is it?
Yeah,
like,
it's a complete different level. You know, MMA and boxing are there, and Taekwondo's around not there for level wise.
Still a good skill to have.
Yeah, I mean, ask me to do a kick now, you got bloody no chance.
Yeah.
Unless you want to see it on the podcast.
You haven't got the flexibility now, have you?
No, not at all.
No spinning roundhouse or nothing now.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I'm stiff as a lamppost.
I see. I should have brought us some beers and we just plied you with beer and then got you. Are
we trying to do backflips or something?
I think I'd be in trouble with your team though if you got a fight on Saturday. No?
Yeah, bloody legs being twisted over my head. What's going on here? Oh, I had a couple of beers on the podcast and I still thought I could do a backflip and a spinning kick and all sorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started boxing. I had my first fight around about, say, 15. And I'm telling you now, it was the best feeling ever. When I got my hands raised, it was just, I don't know, it was crazy. I was absolutely shitting myself. Walking to the ring. And when I got in the ring then, no nerves whatsoever. And I was thinking to myself, like, fuck me, where's that nerves gone? Like, what is going on? And telling you now, it was the best feeling ever. Putting your hand up and saying that you've won in boxing, it beats everything. Absolutely beats everything.
Got the bug straight away.
Oh, don't. And it felt right for me. And it was just like that. I was like, this is what I want to do. But I didn't think I would get to the professional side. I didn't think of that. I didn't think like I'm going to be champion, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, blah blah blah. And I was just doing it because I just purely loved boxing at that time.
It sounds like it felt
like, right for me.
It says like you said you played football, did quite taekwondo, rugby, whatever. Enjoyed them all, decent at them all, but didn't have that same
feeling,
instant bug and whatnot.
And you know, again, so I won a Welsh junior and then Welsh youth. And when I won the youth, oh my god! So I channeled myself. That's all I trained for. That was my aim. That was my goal. Wasn't thinking of anything else. And I was like, I got to win the Welsh. I got to win in Welsh. And then I had a letter then on the Monday or a phone call saying, "Oh, you've been selected to go to the British Championships." Now that wasn't even on my mind. And my uncle was like, "I don't want you going unless I'm there." Now, only purely. It's hard to explain this one because it was the right decision for me because, you know, gain experience, but then also the wrong decision because if I had preparation for it, because I'm that type of kid at that time of my experience, I needed to be prepped, which was kind of weird because now if I had a phone call now saying, "Listen, you're on a fight tomorrow," it wouldn't faze me. But that early on in my career, I needed to have that advance that I was going to have a fight, and have that prep. So when I was like, "Oh shit, I'm fighting again this weekend." It was all like as if I got flustered, like, do you know what I mean? And it was quite mad. I didn't do well in there. You know, I got beat in the first round. I still got a medal for it, which was, in my opinion, I think it was a load of bullshit. Like they gave me a bronze medal, and the kid. So what they do two sides of it, and then they build it up, and then obviously then both sides of like the A side and the B side, they fight, and then obviously the winners then just fight for the gold. So in my opinion, I should have, although I lost the first round, I should have boxed the kid for a bronze.
Yeah.
To make it a bit more fair, but me and this other kid had a bronze, and I just thought that was a load of shit.
It's a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And then a couple weeks later, then I had a phone call saying, "Listen, you've been selected for the Commonwealth." Now I thought someone was having me on, so I was like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, nice one, mate, cheers." And then I had an email then saying, "You've been selected for the Commonwealth." I was like, "Oh, this is actually this is actually happening." And then my old man had the phone call, and we've selected you for the Commonwealth Games. Now again, I wasn't even looking at that. I didn't even know it was happening.
Were you excited when you found that? Once you realised it was proper?
To be honest, I was really excited, but I didn't even know it was happening. I literally did not know. I didn't have a bloody clue.
No.
I was in work. I had a phone call. I was like, yeah, nice one, mate. Cheers to that. And then I had an email. I was like, oh, fucking hell. Boys have just been selected for the Commonwealth. So yeah, I was buzzing at the time. I tell you now, it was the longest training camp I've ever done. It was like 9 weeks or 10 weeks of training.
How old were you then?
I want to say I was about 17, yeah, 17 because it was the youth. 17 I was, and we done training camp, went over to Alicante for a week, and that's when I got the nickname Rhoose Rhino from.
Okay.
So I was sparring. So I would say it was about four or five four teams. I would say it was an Irish team, a Welsh team, and a Spanish team, and then there was like another team there. And I was sparring this foreign fella. He was a bloke. He was about 25, and he was a champion of wherever he was from. He had arms like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said I was sparring him, I was looking at him thinking, oh fucking hell, this is gonna be a hard one. I'm a little puppy in there with him now. And I had Zach Davis in my corner, so Colin Jones and was sorting out the other boys. And when I mean sorting out the other boys, I mean like the better boys. So I was the weakest link on the squad. I was the least experienced. All the other boys had about 50 plus fights, and they were good. They were really good boys. So Colin was sorting out all them. So Zach was helping me out in my corner. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Sod this. I'm just going to go toe to toe with this guy and just have it off with him. By the third round, everyone had stopped what they were doing. They were watching me spar this kid. And I swear that my nose was like that. My bloody eyes were fat. My lip was fat. My nose was running with blood. And it was like, he was punching me, I was just punching him. It was like punch for punch. It was like a proper war.
Yeah.
Three, 4 rounds, and when I stopped, everyone was just looking at me. I went back. Oh, fuck me, that was hard.
Yeah.
And Zach, yeah. So, but I loved it. It was amazing. I just the feeling of hard sparring or a hard fight. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you know that feeling of getting punched in the face? It sounds quite mad, and it sounds stupid, but honestly, the feeling of me getting punched in the face, I love the feeling of waking up next day like, oh, my body is battered, but it is so satisfied. It's nuts. Yeah. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, Zach goes, buddy, Jay, you're like a rhino. Just kept going forward. I said, yeah, I know, I love it. I went back and told the boys, and they were like, you're like the Rhoose Rhino.
There you go.
And that's how I was stuck then, and I was just all because I went war with this bloody foreign fella, and my mind, well, it helps as well. My nose is bent as fuck, and I have a massive nose on me. My old beak. I think that's why my mum didn't want me to box. I had a cute little button nose. Well, that's all ruined, but not anymore. But there you are.
Take damage, don't you, if you get punched in the face for a living.
But yeah, it has its toll on you. There's only so many fights you can have as well, but like, do you know, I'm just waiting for the day that where I can have my opportunity to have an absolute war with anyone. If it's a 10 rounder or a 12 rounder, if it's for a title, if it's not for a title, I don't care. As long as I have that absolute war, you know. And like probably take it to like the old school days, you know, you see them old school fighters, like the most legendary one is Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward. That's a legendary fight. Do you know what I mean? Everyone still talks about it.
You don't see many like that these days at all, do you?
No. At all. Literally, is more. Well, the MMA fights are more interesting because you see more wars than you do in the boxing now, and it's you don't. Weird thing, and that's all. That to me is like a world title to me. If I can have a 12-round war with, and listen, it don't have to be for a belt. It just. You know
what I mean? It's like,
and people will be like, fucking hell, Jay, you had... I mean, even when I retire, I want people to be like, fucking hell, you had that hell of a war. I remember that fight, man. That was class. And that's what I want.
So, in your amateur career, like, did you have any... Like, I know it's only short rounds, isn't it? But
yeah.
Any fights like that where you were
good
able
terms.
to go?
Yeah, I boxed. Yeah, so Jerry Connors, he was a good one. He beat me on I think it was a split, and And for that fight, I was not up for it. I didn't want to be there. That was the one fight where I was like, oh, I wish I was home. I was just, my mind was elsewhere. And the second round, he stepped back. He just pinged me clean, and it was the first time where my eyes went like black. I was holding on, and then that was it. Then I just switched. I just had an absolute scrap with him. Just roughed him up. He roughed me up, and I was bleeding. He was a bit. I don't know if he was bleeding. I can't remember that one. But I know I was bleeding. And it was a good scrap. He beat me, but I didn't go down. Softly like Jimmy. I stood my ground and I fought. Dylan Hayward, he beat me 3 times, but then 3 times he caught me off guard where I wasn't really at my fittest. Now it's not an excuse, like, because as a boxer you should always be fit, but I had a few problems regarding my medical, so I wasn't really training much. But again, he beat me fair and square, and again I tried to went toe to toe with him. My biggest victory of going to war was Crimea Prize, and that was for the Welsh youth. And that was he's the kiddie. It was mad because Dylan Hayward beat me, but Crimea beat Dylan Hayward, and I beat Crimea, which was quite mad. Like, stars clashed, but that was my best win ever. It was a hell of a
enjoyed that one.
If only I had a video or whatever, you see it. It was good boxing by me. Probably the best as an amateur. Probably the best I ever boxed as an amateur. And I won the prelims, the quarters, semis, and the final. I won all 4 fights on the bounce, and I stopped 2 of them on the go. Like, so it was well deserved. I put all my effort into it, and really, my uncle, he channeled me right. The best move for me was going to my uncle. He really channeled me. He got into my head, and it was good.
Really focused, like.
Yeah, really, really focused, and
because you said then about the fight you had where you weren't, like, your mind was elsewhere.
Yeah, elsewhere.
I imagine boxing or any combat sport is like the worst sport to be.
Horrible.
Where really your mind's elsewhere, because you're constantly at risk and you're getting smashed up.
September, my fight in September just gone, boxing Cardiff, and I had a lot of problems behind the scene that not many people knew about. I had injuries, didn't spar for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, so I missed a lot on the punching side. I had a lot of problems with personal problems with family, and that was going on. It was all a little bit too much. And then to top it off, and I don't care what anyone says. I had to put my dog down. I don't care what anyone says. You don't realise how close you are to your dog, their family. So that was a bit of a stinger in the old gut, and it really got me down. But that was just the icing on the cake. My head was all over the place prior to that.
Straw,
and I was just like, oh my god. And then I went, do you know what, sod it. I went to a festival the week before my fight. I got absolutely hammered. But no one knows this, and I just needed to let my head loose. And came back, and I went on a Monday, back training, and it was weird, like, as if everything just flipped and everything was just got solved, everything was fine.
Just needed a release by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it was quite mad, it was, and I ended up winning my fight, but the fight at the end of the day, I couldn't care any less. The fight was the last of my problems, which is quite mad, really.
Yeah, but it's one of them, innit? Like, when things are piling up, it always seems to be that when one thing happens, something else will happen.
Oh, it don't come in once. It comes in 2s and 3s, and it was quite mad.
When you were an amateur, was it like from the start, as soon as you started fighting, you decided you wanted to be a pro, or was it more just you were just doing it because you loved it, and then eventually you kind of realised you were good at it? And
well, to be honest with you, I'm not one of those to say that I'm good at it or I'm excellent. I'm really, I could do this, I could do that, I can achieve this. But as a turning pro, that wasn't even on my mind until I hit about 16, 17, I'd say. And my old man was like, "Oh no, you're not turning pro now." I was like, "Oh, come on." And then I forgot about it then, and then it was like, "Oh, I'm going to pack in boxing." And then the conversation of being a pro then, so I was about 20, the conversation of being a pro then, that came about. And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, let's do it." And, it was, 1 minute I was like, "Yeah, I want to be a pro." Next minute I was like, I'm not really asked about it. And I think that's a lot of things. I think there's like a kid's mentality, isn't it? It's like their minds or their imagination just runs with them, So as a kid, it's like, "Oh, I want to be a professional football player. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Yeah, you change your mind a lot, don't you? And
I think that's what was going through my head. And it was my old man. He was like set me down. He was like, "What?"
Yeah, sometimes you need like an outside voice just to, because other people can see stuff, can't they? But which you can't, especially because you're still young at the time as well. So like what you're seeing is not necessarily what your coaches are seeing, or what your dad's seeing, and your uncle seeing.
And it was. I think it was the right decision. It was the right timing. Everything happens for a reason, and timing is key.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
Turning pro at that time, it was perfect, really.
And then COVID come.
And then COVID, you wanker.
But yeah, but you were quite lucky. You said to me just before we started, you had a few fights last year, didn't you?
Yeah, I was very lucky. So I turned around to my old man and my manager. I was willing just to say, "Listen, I'll fight for free. I don't care. Just get me a fight." If it was another year of COVID, 100%, I would have packed in boxing. In fact.
So was that because you wanted something to focus on and just wanted a fight at the end of a camp, basically?
Pretty much. And there was no way in the world that I was gonna do all this training and put myself through the mill and not so much diet, but like just train for no goal.
But like it's the mental and the emotional toll as well as the physical toll, though, that it takes out of you, isn't it?
I'm a scaffolder on the side, so that I was putting all my focus, and if you want to say it, I was seeing that as training. So that was getting me through it, and you know what I mean? And that was no problem. I was happy doing what I was doing, and that was it, really.
Smart, because I said so many fighters in boxing and MMA in COVID, they just didn't have nothing, no fights, no nothing. And the amount of, and do you know what, and comedians as well, I know a few comedians, they all had to go and work in wherever, Morrison's, Tesco's,
exactly.
Just because.
I know a lot of fighters who've packed in boxing because of COVID as well.
Yeah, and they haven't come back either, There's a few.
Which is
it's
crazy.
Sad though, isn't it? Because
it is sad.
It's a couple of really talented fighters who, if there's no COVID, would have gone on, and you never know never know what's going to happen, because you've only got to fight, like we said about Chris fighting Florian Marquez. You've only got to fight the right person at the right time, put in a real good performance or a good victory.
That's it. Good money as well.
And change the stratosphere you're in.
Yeah, exactly. And Chris, he is a top fella, talented fighter. Do you know what I mean? He's 33. He hasn't got long left.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, he needs these fights, which is sad, but we're all behind him. All wills are behind him.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think he'll do it as well.
Yeah, I am. Funny enough, I know Florian Marquez is one of his management team, and he's really sound. He's a really nice guy. But I said I think it was to Danny the other week, I actually don't think Florian Marquez is. I think he's beatable. I don't think he's I don't want this to sound disrespectful, because I know someone who's on his team, but I don't mean it as he's rubbish. I just mean I don't think he's as good a boxer as his following suggests, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It's a weird thing, isn't it?
His style of fighting is is ideal for Chris. Chris, I don't want to say too much, just in case anyone does see it, or his team or whatever. Not that I give a fuck anyway. But Chris, man, Chris has got all the tools.
Yeah.
To be him, and that's all needs to be said about Chris. He's got a good coach, Gary Lockett.
Yeah.
He's got good boxing knowledge. You know, he knows how to work Chris. He knows how to get into Chris's head. And Chris, although he's thick as fuck, and he sounds like a right thicko, he is an intelligent boxer. His mindset and his determination and his effort he puts into training as well is next level.
Yeah. I saw loads of people when they announced that fight. I saw loads of people on Floyd Marquez's Twitter saying, "Oh, well, you should be fighting someone bigger than that," or "Why are you fighting him?" Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And
never overlook your opponent.
I was just thinking, I don't think because he's got a pretty good team around him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would overlook Chris. But I was surprised that. It's typical social media, I suppose.
It's people. The thing is, people who say that haven't got a fucking clue about boxing. Do you know what I mean?
Unfortunately, that's
no. It's quite mad, but it's starting out with fighting journeymans early on in your career. Never overlook them.
Yeah.
Never
the thing
overlook them.
No matter who you're fighting, like you can always get caught, and you can always.
All it needs.
Don't take it seriously. You know?
Everyone's got a fighter's chance, and all it takes is one punch to turn a fight around.
Yeah. So, where do you see yourself? Like, where do you want to be? Saying, so would you say 23 now? And you so say 5 years, you'll be 28.
Yeah.
Out and shotgun mass. 28. Where do you see yourself being? Where do you want to be?
Hopefully in fucking Benidorm with my feet up and a beer down my throat. Don't
want to wait 5 years for that, though, do you?
I try and do as often as I can. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I want to be a British or world champion or all that, because that's not me. But what I will say is, if I can get a couple of properties under my name, nice bit of money out of boxing, and a bit of a name for myself, in Cardiff and my local Barry, and just that's good enough for me.
Have some good fights.
Yeah, and have some absolute wars on the road. Do you know what I mean? And win or lose, no matter what, there will always be an after party.
Yeah. That's it.
And if no one turns up, I'll be fucking going by myself.
What boxers did you look up to, like, or I know, like as a teenager? What are the sorts of boxers? Because you mentioned Gatti and Ward, which isn't necessarily a fight which someone who's 23 would normally be familiar with. So you've obviously got quite a hardcore boxing knowledge.
So Roberto Duran is my idol. Ricky Hatton is another one as well. But Roberto Duran is my favourite. I don't know if you've seen any of my shorts, but all my shorts that I get made are his shorts, but just with my name on it.
That's great. I like that.
Yeah,
it's cool, guys.
And it's nice. It's classic. It's clean cut. It's just everything. Do you know what I mean? It's smart. I don't want to be walking around in the ring looking like a fucking billboard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I just see some of them, don't you?
Yeah, some of them are dreadful. You see these pink shorts, or you really sponsor.
You can't really.
They might be. Shorts don't mean fuck all, but to me, I'd rather look clean and just everything basic and simple, and that's the way it should be. And again, I like the old school way. So,
what about Welsh boxers? Like, what sort of Welsh boxers used to or be influenced by, or like you look at and you look back on?
You got Colin Jones. You got Liam Williams. You got Joe Calzaghe. But in all honesty, like, they're great fighters. But and Enzo Mac, even Gary Lockett, Enzo McInerney, Gary Lockett. You got good fight Nicky Piper as well. But again, I'm the old school. You know what I mean? So obviously you got Calzaghe, who's a bit of an old school. Enzo and Gary and Colin Jones. the old school fighters, the old school ways, how they done it all. That I'm more interested in that than the updated boxing now. Like, do you know what I mean? Which sounds a bit bad because I'm in it myself.
Yeah. I know what you mean though, because
I think it's a load of shit. Do you know what I mean? Unless you haven't got money or you haven't got financial backing or you can't sell tickets, you got no chance.
No. Well, you look at what happened to Jack Cottrell the other week.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that guy's, like, he's worked his whole career since he was like 6 or something, been into boxing. Stepped aside last year so Josh Taylor could unify all the belts. Gets his shot, outboxes him, and then gets stitched up by the judges. And it's like, yeah, what's the point?
You see kids, you can understand how kids would be like that, watching that fight and being like, he lost that fight.
No.
So why,
what's the point?
What's the point? But I'm quite lucky because my goal is completely different to
it does.
to everyone
so
else.
Your goals seem quite different to most fighters, whether boxing or MMA or MMA. Or
but as a dream goal, my dream goal would be to fight in Cardiff City Stadium, and I don't care if it's for a title or is it just or just a normal fight. To have 10 or 12 rounds of just going to absolute war, toe to toe, win or lose, and everyone just screaming Rhino and bloody Cardiff City chants. That, to me,
the entrance, mate. Imagine the entrance.
Oh, it'd be absolutely.
What music would you come out to? Cardiff City Stadium.
Do you know what? Like, it would have to be Don't Look Back in Anger.
Beautiful. Mate. Right. That's the dream, isn't it? Come out with a full Cardiff City Stadium, coming out to Don't Look Back in Anger.
It's quality, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the dream, mate.
And then everyone coming back to my after party, and I'm buying drinks for everyone the whole night. That is it.
I like it. So
quality, man.
You mentioned earlier you played for Cardiff schools. Was that like only sort of short term thing?
Yeah, it was. So I played for my local county, and then I played for Cardiff County. I got kicked out of all because I was just too immature. I was trying to play tag with all the kids. I was like 12 years old. So it was a long time ago. But I was just way too immature for all these kids who did the.
I think kids do that. Like two of my boys have been in and out of like the academy systems and that, and then sometimes there's been boys who when they're playing a game, they're fine and they'll be one of the best players in the team. But whenever you're trying to do drills or train or whatever, they just don't want to know because they're not as mature as some of the other kids, and they just don't quite get like where they're at. Like they don't get the opportunity of being, you're playing in an academy. It's not just football with your mates on a Tuesday night.
No, exactly.
But it's part of growing up though, mate, isn't it?
Exactly. But the real tester is the youth. It's go through your youth stages.
Yeah.
That's when, because then that's when, the drinking and the girls and if you want to go to the drug side. But, remarkable kids don't make us remarkable adults.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes if you don't get past that youth stage, that's when they all fade out.
Yeah.
So that was the turning point for me. So in my youth stage, I just completely cut out everyone. And I just focused all my boxing. And just put everything into it. Boxing.
It's good though, mate, because you pick up bad habits as a teenager, basically, mate.
If it wasn't for boxing and for having good parents and good friends and family,
but even sometimes, mate. Sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say sometimes, mate. Even good parents can't save you from getting into that stuff, mate.
That's true.
Like, I had good parents and it didn't save me for it. Like it was only into my 20s where I sorted myself out. Like there was a few years where I had some issues, like, and just didn't give a fuck and did lots and lots of things which I shouldn't have been doing. But like it's immaturity and it's part of circumstances.
Yeah.
But like I had Gav, like I said earlier, in the other week, and I don't know how we got onto it, but I think I might have asked him like if you could go back. I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't Gav. I don't know. It was someone was in here, and I said if you could go back to like when you were sort of 16 or something in school, would you do stuff differently to do better in school and maybe have a different outcome or whatever? And I've always said I'd like to go back when I was like, to when I was 15, 16, and I would just get my head down and do well in school and kind of try and do something different.
Yeah.
But whoever it was taught me round and said, well, yeah, but if you go back and you change that, you don't make all the mistakes that you've made along the way, because you learn so much more from the mistakes you make
100%.
and the bad decisions you make than the good
100%.
decisions.
If I did have an opportunity like that to go back in time and change things, I wouldn't change anything. The only thing I would change, so everything else was sound, but the one thing I would change is my relationship between me and my mother. That'd be the only thing I wish I could change. But it's it is what it is, and time soon you'll find out how it goes in the next couple of months or whatever, and time will tell. And it's all about how, if I mature and my mum doesn't think I'm still a pain in the ass.
Well, mate, I hope that you're able to repair that relationship.
Yeah, well, it is what it is at the end of the day, and she tells you to fuck off, then alright, mum, cheers. But it is what it is. Like, although I don't talk to her, if she rang me up now and said, listen, I'm stuck, or I need money or whatever, I'll drop everything for her before. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, she's still my mother, but we still clash. Yeah, but
family is difficult. Like,
yeah, but
I haven't spoken to my mum's partner for 10 years, 9 years, something ridiculous, and I'm not going to go into it whys on camera, but like, it's just a few times it's come up, like, because it's so awkward, isn't it? Because I still see my mum and speak to my mum, but I don't speak to her partner or whatever, and she'll sort of hint towards it, like, can you sort it out or whatever. And I'm like, no. That ship has sailed and it ain't coming back.
No. I think the turning point for me and my mum was when I got the tattoo. I think that was
yeah. So the question: have you got any tattoos? Yes, you have. But
yeah, I got two. I have.
Go on.
So I got one on my left pec. It says "I am Rhino."
That's right. It's a good one.
I think it's quite cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's acceptable.
Yeah. And then the other one then is on my private parts down below. I got an elephant's head, and then my little pig's tail then is the trunk. But I think that was the turning point for me. I think that was like the final straw. Me thinking it was funny again. I was 18 at the time or whatever it was. I sent it to her. I don't think she found it funny. Because the worst thing about it, my old man was out on the stag with me.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and he couldn't stop laughing his head off. He thought it was bloody brilliant. I thought it was a piece of art, but not many people think that.
But like, so there's a couple of ways to look at it, I suppose, isn't it? It's like, I can understand why she was a bit like, what the fuck have you done?
Yeah, but
then I can also see
to laugh.
Yeah, and then also, like, you could have got your face tattooed or something which like.
Well,
look, I quite like face tattoos. I wouldn't have one myself, but I know a few people who've got them, and I quite like them. I think some of them could look alright.
I think if I had enough money, I probably would have got it.
But what I mean is, from your mum's point of view, like, you could have had a lot worse tattoos.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like, there's only a certain amount of people that are going to see that, aren't they?
But fuck it,
unless you just get it out in fucking Benidorm.
Rock and roll, innit? Rock and roll, man.
Why not?
Yeah, it was quite it was mad experience.
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation.
Do you know what? I've done some pretty mad things, although I come across quiet or whatever, when I've had a beer, birdie, I don't know what comes out of me. It's just
Larry.
I don't. But like, I'm still respectful towards others. I'm only Larry in my
compared to what you normally are.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm only Larry in my own friendship group, like, do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
if I've been a pain in the ass or I've done something wrong to anyone outside, I'd expect them to be like, oh, you just pipe it down a bit, like, do you know what I mean? I'd say, yeah, no problem, you got it. Because at the end of the day, if I'm being a dick, I'd want someone to say, slow down, like.
Sometimes you just need someone to tell you, like.
God, if anyone stole my phone and went for my camera roll, I'd be absolutely screwed because there's some mad things on there.
But this is what, do you know what? Funny to say, like, I saw this thing on the TV the other day. Someone was criticising Jimmy Carr's Netflix special.
Yeah,
About it.
he's
like,
brilliant. I love
he's
him.
amazing, mate. And it's like, if you don't like it, don't fucking watch it.
It's simple as that.
His Netflix special is called Jimmy Carr's Darkest Material. So what do you think it's going to be? Like, it's going to be just all sorts of jokes about all sorts of people. But I was
fucking
like,
watch it.
Yeah, it's like if you get offended by stuff, don't watch it. It's not complicated, is it?
No, yeah, exactly.
Like, it's crazy. I forgot what I was going to say, but Jimmy Carr's special is good. So you got a fight Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, we know we're starting March. How many fights do you reckon this year? Another few.
Well, I don't know because I just booked Thailand today. I have, so I'm going to Thailand April the 2nd for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yes.
So I don't know if hopefully to have another 3 fights after this, but nothing in April. I hope.
Yeah. My mate was living out there for a while. For like,
I
think he was out there for nearly 2 years.
I can't
he was
wait.
teaching English.
I can't.
That is that he was teaching English.
It's amazing.
Good job, mate.
Man.
Live in Thailand, teach English.
I can't. Do you know what? I really can't wait for it. I love
Supposed to be a nice place. Never been
Yeah,
there.
me and my best mate. Unfortunately, he's going through a bit of a rough patch. So I said to him, "Come on, let's go over there.
Get away for a bit."
Yeah.
But it's like what you were saying when you said your head won in the game, and then you went up to that festival.
Oh, best festival ever. It was
had a blowout, and then when you come back, you're back in the game. Like, because sometimes I think you need to get away from whatever your day-to-day thing is.
Reassess yourself, regroup, and you go again. And that's the way it is. And I went up to Isle of Wight festival with a good bunch of boys, and they knew what was going through my head. And do you know what? When I went with them, it was like as if nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And it was quite mad. It was. So Liam Gallagher came on and he sang "Live Forever," and it was mad. So I was arguing with the personal problem I was having. I was arguing, and my head was just all over the place. And when Liam Gallagher sang "Live Forever," it was like everything just went silent for me. It was like I couldn't hear the crowd. It was absolutely nuts. No word of a lie. I just stood there, and I was just like, I don't know how long it was, but it might be 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. I don't know. But it was like boom, like a reality check, like hit me, and it was just like.
I felt better. Like.
Yeah, it was quite mad. And then on the Monday, then everything just turned it back around. I was like, I was feeling better than ever. You know, went focused. Everything was. It was quite mad. It was.
Mate, I'm gonna have to listen to Liam Gallagher when I go
on.
Live Forever, because I could do with sorting my head out at the moment.
I absolutely love it. Oasis is the one.
Yeah.
Absolutely the one.
Don't start me on that now. I'd be another hour talking about Oasis.
Stone Roses as well. Oh, class, man.
Quality, mate. I seen
music.
So when I was like 15, 16, no, it must have been a bit younger than that. So like, I was about 12, 13, I reckon. And the Stone Roses played Newport.
Yeah, class.
Wasn't allowed to go. Obviously, an iconic gig, innit? But I wasn't. I wasn't allowed to go. I was too young, and so I missed that. And then they split up, and I seen Ian Brown a couple of times in Cardiff.
He's quality,
and, a few times, yeah. I admit I had the time of my fucking life. It's
mental, isn't it?
And like, and then. So I seen Ian Brown a couple of times, but I'd kind of made peace with the fact that I was never going to see the Stone Roses. And then they got back together, and my brother got us tickets to see him at Heaton Park. And
class.
And then I had because I had a car accident, and my back and my legs all fucked up, like.
Yeah.
But ended up like something happened, and I couldn't go. And then they fucking split up again. So I still have never had the opportunity to go watch it.
Gutted.
Absolutely devastating.
I bought tickets. Last year to go to Nebworth now to watch Liam Gallagher. On June 4th, which will be.
There you go then.
It, man.
Here's a question for you to finish this off.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Oasis will ever get back together? It's hard, isn't it? Families, mate.
Mate, do you know what? Right, it is fucking hard. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you just gotta let things go, and family at the end of the day. And for him not to talk to Liam, something must have been. Like my brother, he don't. If I piss him off, he won't talk to me for a week, and that crushes me. I wanna strangle him because it pisses me off. I can't handle it. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, come on, let's stop being stupid. But for him to not talk to him for that many years, do you know what I mean? And completely have no contact whatsoever. I don't know. Do you know what? Obviously, everyone would love to see it happen, and they would make a killing on it.
Oh God!
Because their songs, and I believe they wouldn't have to make fucking new songs because their songs are all bangers.
Yeah, that's it. And they could literally just rip out like 6 albums worth of stuff which they've got, and
everyone would still be hooked on it. Like, do you know what I mean? People still 100%. Sing their songs to this day. Like my little brother, he's 14 years old, and he knows some of the songs. Like, do you know what I mean?
My kids know some of them, like, and it's like
the class, man.
Nah, it's timeless, mate. But do you know, I always thought eventually they would get back together. I just thought Noel was kind of sick of Liam's shit for a bit. But then it was when Liam started slagging off his missus and his kid on like social media, and I was like, that ship's probably sailed now.
That's it now, isn't it?
But I think, do you know what I think it is, though, mate? I think it's because, you know what you were saying about like when your brother doesn't speak to you for like a week or so, it drives you nuts.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. It fucks Liam's head up, because he just wants to speak to his brother, and it's been so long that every now and again he just has this thing where he loses it, like says a load of stupid shit, like he does anyway.
It's mad.
Sad, mate. But
fingers crossed that it fucking happens. Because we'll go together.
Fucking right, mate. 100%. I ain't missing that. After I missed the Stone Roses 2 times around, like 20 years apart, and I ain't missing Oasis getting back together. Even if I'm like fucking 60.
I'd cancel a fight to go watch him.
Yeah. Would you?
Yeah, damn right I would.
British title fight, Oasis getting back together. Oof.
Oasis all day. I'm telling you. Oasis all day long.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jay Munn. This is Ace Podcast Nation. Please do subscribe for more exclusive interviews, podcasts every week. There's like 4 podcasts a week or something. Rodri Giggs show, Danny Battenfly show, my story, all that good shit. Jay Munn.
Thank you very much.
Nice people.
Top man.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.